Back to my channel. You may not know me, but I'm about to come to know you. Hi, my name is Eliza Barker, and in today's video, we're going to be talking about the artist's way. I think it's recently come back into popularity because of doji, although it has been used for a while. I am not a super big expert in the history of the artist way by Julia Cameron. I only started doing it in like January, February of this year. And I found it very helpful, but not in the way that I think it's intended to be helpful. Also, do we like the new setup? The one corner of my house that's actually decorated. I know, I'm proud of myself for that one. Anyway, back to the content of the video. I said I was going to make a video on this, and it is going to be a two-part series, so to speak, because I am 8 weeks into the program now, technically longer. I'll get into that in a second, but I'm starting week 9 next week. Which is very exciting because I'm not usually one who goes for these sort of like self-help books. You know, this is a workbook that's going to help you get your life back together, and here's how to manifest, and here's how to talk to people. I'm not a big fan of those books. I find them very much touting like basic discipline skills or basic socialization skills to people. However, the artist's way was different, in my opinion. It is kind of kooky dooky, if that makes sense, because Julia Cameron speaks a lot about there being this sort of God, mystical presence, spiritual energy that is trying to communicate with you. Like your inner artist is guided, and God in this scenario wants to feed your inner artist, but you have to let God do that. And that sort of conflict in this book is something that I sort of disagree with, because it's a really weird religious element, even though she says religion isn't tied to it. But I think by referring to this presence as God or creator, I think it does accidentally trend into like a pastoral sort of thing that I was not. I'm gonna fix my bangs only once throughout this video and never again. I'm very greasy because I was cleaning my house, and then I'm gonna go work out and then clean my house some more after I film this. And I found, again, I was like, oh, do we really, God damn it, bald spot, bald spot, bald spot, anyway. I just didn't really like that, and for a while I was very resistant towards that, because I think it can be valuable for some people to be like, yes, there is this greater energy, higher power that wants me to succeed. However, in today's day and age, I feel like that's kind of harder and harder to get behind. Although I do think if you already are like Christian, or you are more of a believer in like a compassionate God, for example, you'll probably get a lot more value out of this than like I did. Oh my gosh, can my fringe just sit where I want it? Do you see that bald spot? And I don't know, I have a very complicated relationship with God and religion as a whole, so I was just kind of like, But how I got started was basically I picked up, I'm going to cover my name because I wrote my illegal name because I use this at work. This is a decomposition notebook with art by, let's see what's in the front. Who designed the cover? Michael Roger, I think, designed the back and front covers, and then there is art on the inside of it that was done by Tony Millionaire, and this is what that art looks like. If you can even... Can you see that? I hope you can see that, because I can see it. It's gorgeous. I got it for I spent 9 smackaroos on this at my university bookstore because I wanted to get a cheaper one on Amazon for $5, and I was like, let me not do that. Let me go to an in-person store, and I got this. And I'm about to dig into why I think you shouldn't get a composition notebook. I think you really need to get like an actual like journal-sized journal, and that reminds me that I totally forgot to grab my little veggie notebook that I'm switching to do the rest of the program in, and I don't know if I want to sit down and re-record. So just imagine my veggie notebook. If I find a picture of it, figure that out editing me, figure out how to put a veggie notebook picture there, because I don't want to get up and expose the sweatpants that I'm in right now. Show my whole ass off to the internet, and not today. I think you should go with something smaller. Because you do have to do the 3 pages a day thing, and I think you should get something with a ribbon in it so that you can keep track of where you're at in your book, but also for the weekly exercises, because some of them do require sort of like a checking back in or a repetition of it. And that is also something where I think if you are like neurodivergent of the possible ADD, ADHD variety, some of these exercises are just not super friendly for that group. There's a couple of mind mapping exercises, or like you make like a pie chart or something. I have never liked those, even in university, when it's like, oh, make a mind map, make a flow chart. Like, that's not how my brain works. Like, my brain doesn't organize information that way. So I found those exercises kind of useless, and I'm pretty sure she has a line, and if I was more prepared, I would have highlighted some of the things that she says in this book. But I think she says that the exercises that you feel most resistant to are probably ones that you need to be doing the most. And I agree with that to a certain extent. I do, because there were some exercises, there's a lot where it's like, talk about your childhood, describe your childhood bedroom. And I'm like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to dig into my childhood in this book right now. It's really hard for me to dig into my childhood and even recall specific memories from my childhood. You know, got a lot of stuff going on. We don't need to put all my business on the internet. With that being said, I did find a lot of value in these exercises and the tools that she does. I actually didn't start reading the book until like February of 2025, even though I started it in January, because this was one of my New Year's resolutions was to complete The Artist's Way, and actually prove to myself that I can do it, because I'm bad at following through. And I'm making good progress, despite starting later, and then also work got really busy for me, so I wasn't doing the reading and the writing for a while, and I jumped back into it pretty recently, actually. So what is The Artist's Way? It is a sort of artist workbook by Julia Cameron that sort of inspires you to get back in touch with like your inner artist, your inner creative, by doing these exercises that really challenge your beliefs around your creativity and why you're a creative person, and sort of the biases that you've accidentally held about creative people throughout your life in general. Like, what do you think of when you think of an author? Who do you like, what did you want to be when you grew up? Like, list out like all of the things you wanted to be when you were a child. And in my case, it was like dancer and zoologist and figure skater. And then there was a second part of that exercise where it's like, well, how can you get closer to what your childhood self wanted? Okay, Pog, I can take a dance class. Did I do that? No, by the way, I didn't do that. I did something else though that we're gonna get into. And on top of these exercises, I'm jumping around a lot, so hope you guys enjoy that. On top of the exercises, there are, I think the most known aspect of this book is the 3 morning pages, which is why I'm going to say you need to get a smaller notebook, if only because 3 pages is a very arbitrary number. If you go on the Artist's Way Reddit, this is debated like all the time. Do I really need to do 3 pages? And it's like, I think doing 3 pages, no matter how big your pages are, works. But I do agree that if you're using something this size or larger, you should maybe do like, because your pages in this are like half, like maybe like a third more than what other people are writing. However, I think the mental thing of doing the 3 pages is very valuable. Don't get me wrong. I think that you should still try. Towards the end, I got very much like, I'm just going to dump out as much as I can, and when I run out, I run out. Because I've been doing the pages for a lot longer than I was doing the actual book exercises, so I was kind of feeling the burnout a bit. And the value that I got from the 3 daily pages was being able to dump everything going on in my mind before I started work for the day. Because I'm the kind of person where I'll be at my desk trying to get my job done, and I will be simmering and stewing and all of the things I need to do when I get home. The cleaning, the cooking, all of it. So being able to sort of organize my life and dump it all out really helped me be more productive later in the day. Granted, do you need to do these in the morning? Some people do them at night, some people do them at different points of time. Figure out what works for you. The main point is do the 3 pages, because they will tell you a lot about what's going on subconsciously than what you're realizing, which is really, really quite interesting if I'm honest with myself. So there's that. And you're supposed to, at some point, reread the pages. You're not supposed to for a while, but you are at some point. I think like at past the halfway point, I can't remember, because I can't read my own handwriting. Like, do you know what any of this says? Can anybody read that? Because I sure can't. February 27th, 2025. Something. I'm starting to do my 3 daily pages for The Artist's Way. Honestly, not sure if it's something I'll be able to stick to. I did. but I'm genuinely going to give it my all because I really want to crack the egg on my creativity, I guess. I'll read my first pages if I can like decipher them for you guys towards the end of this video versus like my most recent ones, because I think that's also really valuable to see, and I'm okay being vulnerable in that way on the internet. But I had sort of gone into the artist's way, already deconstructing my sense of shame around my work, because this is something that I've been dealing with since childhood, this very internalized sense of shame that like everything I do, everything I want to do is just, it's shameful, it's disgusting, I'm never going to be able to do it, because in certain areas of my life, I have been told that's not achievable or it's embarrassing to want that. So I have been actively battling, since I graduated university, honestly, battling this internal sense of shame that I've had since I was a small child. It's been very persistent in my life, and trying to unlearn it has truthfully been incredibly difficult. I won't lie to you guys, like that has been the hardest thing to deconstruct. But I was already going into it with this sort of, this is gonna sound egotistical and like stroking my ego. I am already a very productive writer, and what I mean by that is I am already writing every single day, no matter what, across various projects, whether that's like novels, fan fiction. I'm writing a script right now. Like, it doesn't really matter. I'm always productive in my art. And I feel like this is more geared towards people who stall out in their art, or like the direction of, sorry, I keep messing with my bangs, it's gonna keep happening. Sorry. It's more for people who are stalled out, I think, and are at kind of a standstill in their artist's life, so to speak. That being said, you can still get value of this, even if you are like, I'm a working artist, dude, like I'm already doing what I'm supposed to be doing. The artist way can still reveal things to you that I think are valuable and worth doing. Just some of the exercises I'm like, that's not really for me. So when she was like, if you're feeling resistant, maybe you need to do it the most. Some of it, I'm just not at that point, if that makes sense. I'm not in that like pit of despair, I can never do this. I've gone full delusional and obsessive with my own work. And I already had been when I first started tackling this. I watched the Cozy Creatives video on like unlearning shame and like being a shameful writer. Like, if you want to make it in the creative industry and you want to be a writer full time, you got to figure out how to do that. And sometimes that's by writing works that aren't like lit fic or like the peak of literary, heights. So I was already kind of making my peace with that. I talked about this in my other video, but while I was writing this sucker, while I was doing the artist's way, I had went from writing this very literary focused, like horror thing based off of a girl with an eating disorder who has an obsession with eating her therapist, and it gets like really cannibalistic and like gross. And I was really into that for a while I was even writing this, and while I was doing the artist's way. And then I pivoted and started writing a YA rom-com instead, like February, like the first month of me finishing this, like me starting the artist's way, not finishing it, starting the artist's way. I pivoted and started doing YA because that kind of was speaking to me more at the time. And I believe that I'm at a point in my life currently where like my voice has a bit more power in the YA space, because I'm still really close, and oh my gosh, my hair is just not sitting how I want it to. I'm so sorry. It's probably so annoying. You know what? Fine. We can be bald. We can be bald and beautiful. I look very greasy. It's fine. Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, so making that pivot and sort of honoring that pivot and not belittling myself for making that decision was really helpful. Now, something else about the artist's way is that there's this emphasis on taking your inner artist on like artist dates. So doing something that fills your creative well that isn't necessarily what you're tackling artistically. So for example, I'm a writer. I identify with that label. I'm a writer. I'm an author. Yada yada. Jazz hands. I decided that my artist date was going to be improv classes. So I signed up for improv classes, and the funny thing about that was I made this decision very last second at like 11 o'clock at night, bought the register for the class, and then I went back to check when the classes were, and I was like, how is it sold out? I bought the last registration. I think that was, my higher creative being like, this is meant for you. Do improv. And I'm a very big believer that I think a lot of writers could benefit from taking improv classes. My friend Monica said it best. It's writing is improv. You're coming up with things off the seat of your pants. got a lot of value out of that class, and I still love it, and I still intend to keep pursuing improv. I enjoyed it a lot. I enjoy acting a lot, and I had forgotten about that. It was some creative part of me that sort of went to the wayside of my life because I didn't really have the time or resources to participate in it anymore, which this really highlighted. Was I put this thing, acting, that I really quite enjoy doing. I like that moment, and it happens during improv, and it happens when I'm acting, and it happens when I'm writing, but that beautiful moment when my brain turns off and I am just in there in the moment doing the thing, that is like a high I will continue to chase because it is amazing. Now, love that. I think the artist dates really are important because I feel like, especially now that it's in the 2020s and things are happening in the US that are really buns, to put it lightly, I think it's really important to do things that nourish your inner artist when we are in a world that forces creative people to commodify and monetize their art. I am someone who is very forward about my opinion on the publishing industry, and if you want to make a career out of your art, it is not enough to learn the art. You also have to learn the business side of things. It's unavoidable in any artistic industry. You can't be a fabulous animator and then walk into Disney and expect a job if you haven't made the portfolio, networked yourself, etc. It sucks. Trust me, it sucks, but it's the truth of the matter. So by taking that time to do improv without this pressure of it needs to be good, I need to make money off of it, etc., really loosened something in my brain. And I think doing improv is why I was able to write my manuscript in 2.5 months ish. That, and it's a YA rom-com. It's not super high stakes, or like, I'm not considering the prose as much as I do for my literary fiction. Like, does that metaphor make sense? Does it have to make sense? Yada yada, that sort of thing. That it's not working that part of my literary brain, so to speak. I liked it a lot. Teehee. However, 3 pages a day is a lot, and some of the exercises are kind of sucky. Not even in a bad way, sucky, they kind of just aren't for me. For example, there's pretty early, oops, sorry, I didn't mean to bonk the mic. Pretty early on, there is, and I am gonna stop and re-record this section. Let me try to find it. Like, when we had to do like a weird like mind map, and then like it would be like your spirituality. There it is. There you are. It was like, this is a week 2 exercise. Work, spirituality. I don't know what friendships. Add. I don't know what that says. Career. I think one of them was supposed to be career. Did I write that wrong or upside down? I don't really know. Exercise, play. Yeah, it's stuff like that. Like, you know, like the life balance. And I didn't like it. And you're supposed to revisit it, and I didn't because I couldn't remember what page it was on. Because I number my pages. So that says 23. I number them. I numbered them wrong, by the way, because I was definitely like, this is only 160 pages, and I somehow got all the way to 163, so I either forgot to count or I counted wrong. Not a math person, but let me stop right here, and we're going to continue in a second. I'm back. We'll see how long that this keeps recording for. So, week 2. I don't think I did the week 1 exercises. Now that I'm looking at this, I don't think there were. Week 1 and week 2 are right beside each other. I'm a dummy. So, let's talk about the exercises real quick. Week 1, the ones that I chose to do. What are the enemies of my self-worth? 3 champions of my creative self-worth. And then 5 other lives to lead. So let's talk about the week 1 exercises. I can't remember how I felt writing these because this was... where the hell was it? I wrote this on March 6th, 2025. So, enemies of my self-worth. Ready to hear this? Inner shame. I was already working on deconstructing this before I got here, like before I started doing this. So, inner shame comes up a lot, guys. My mother, not digging into that one, and self-rejection / I feel like a hack. I mentioned this a lot. I write really quickly, and because I write really quickly, I often feel like nothing I write is good because I can pump it out like crazy. So that stinks. And I will self-reject. I will not do things because I'm afraid of being rejected, and that really holds my creative endeavors back. It's still a huge problem. I haven't quite worked past the self-rejection. I think I'll focus on the second half of Artist Way, focusing more on my self-rejection habits, but for now, it is what it is. Now, 3 champions of my creative self-worth. I wrote down my creative writing professor, who, for the sake of privacy, I'm not going to say out loud. She's the one who got me into writing short stories, and then I decided to write a novel. And she's always like been a huge champion of my work. I'm in a writing Discord with a bunch of people from Twitter, and I also put my coworker who I work with, who loves to hear my stories, but also like gives me ideas for stories, and I love her for that because she doesn't really know that I write weird stuff. Like, she does, but she doesn't, because I'm not gonna, tell her about every weird thing that I'm writing. But she's a huge champion of my work. And then my 2 closest friends, Ash and Monica, are also like huge like champions of my creative self-worth because they are very supportive, and they both write scripts, and I love reading what they write, and they're both very kind about the things that I write as well. And it helps just have eyes on your work, and they're so nice with that. So the 5 other lives to lead if I was not a writer. And then there was another part where you listed like 5 more. So, ESOL teacher in South Korea. When I first went to college, my goal was to be ESOL certified so that I could teach English as a second language in I wanted to start in South Korea and then move throughout Asia. That ended up not happening because I got last minute custody of my dog back, and you can't take pit bulls to Korea. And she's scratching on her bed right now, but you can hear her. And the education program at my school was terrible. And I had to switch my major at the last minute because they said that I wouldn't be able to graduate on time, and I couldn't afford that. So I became an English major instead. Vegan baker. I used to have dreams of owning my own vegan bakery. I was vegan for 4 or 5 years of my life, and I have learned a lot of tricks when it comes to the kitchen. Zoologist. When I was 5, I wanted to be a zoologist. I wanted to work with big cats and birds of prey specifically. And I don't know why, but I like predatory animals. So it was like vultures and like cheetahs and tigers, cougars, and then like grizzly bears. I would still kill to be a bear scientist. I think bears are the coolest animals ever, still. Theater tech. I used to do theater when I was in high school, and I was a stage manager once, and I really loved that experience, and I kind of want to get back into it. Cinematographer / photographer. Fun fact about me, before I went to the college that I am in now, or like had just graduated from, I used to do theater. How is this at 23 minutes, but this is at whatever. Audacity is lying to me. I actually got into the Pratt Institute for photography, and then I couldn't afford to go. It was a really bad situation. I had to like drop out of I had already been registered for classes and everything, had to leave at the last minute. Didn't even get to fly there, which was a blessing in disguise because that was the year that like COVID happened, and I think if I got stuck in Brooklyn, New York, I would have not survived. And not even because I think New York is some scary place, but because my mental health at the time was terrible. It was awful. And then the 5 other ones that I added were con photographer. The portfolio that got me into Pratt was like anime con photography, and I loved doing that. The thing is, I'm actually a terrible photo editor. I don't care for photo editing. It's not my thing. I like those like candid live photos with like lighting tweaks. I'm not like a huge like manipulation editor or anything like that. I love raw photo. Like my thing is I love raw photo footage. I'm not a big fan of heavily edited photos. That's just my photography style though. Dancer. When I was little, I wanted to be a dancer. It didn't happen because dance lessons are expensive, and I grew up poor as shit. Actor. And I put a dash improv classes. I think everybody, when they're like little, it's kind of like, what do you want to be when you grow up? And it's like doctor, lawyer, actor, basketball player, because that's like the careers that you see. I'm not a sort of person who was like, I was 5 years old and I knew that I was going to be an actor. It wasn't anything like that. I got into it in high school, and she is just going, and I loved it. Journalist, movie reviews. Oh my God, girl, she's a mess. She's a mess. I wanted to be a journalist when I was in high school as well, and I still do a lot of movie reviews because I love film. Can you not scratch yourself on that wall? It's clean. You don't gotta do all that. There's a dirty wall you can scratch on. I just like wiped down the baseboards. And then the last one I put was nurse, although like that's kind of ixnayed. Ixnayed. I'm not built to be a nurse. I'm really great in a crisis. I'm not gonna lie. I'm fabulous in a crisis. But I think being a nurse would just destroy my humanity. I'm seeing what it's doing to other nurses my age, and I was like, maybe not. Although I really wanted to because I felt like it was a good job safety thing. So, whatever. Week 2. Exercises were 20 things I like doing, and then tending. I don't even know what that says because I can't read it. Anyway, it was like listing out like 20 things that you like doing and then making a promise to do like 2 things over the weekend that you like doing. And then that weird like graph thing, which my brain doesn't process those even when it's not myself doing those. So I just didn't like it, guys. I'm sorry. I just didn't like it. It wasn't for me. Sorry. But like the top 5 of this were like writing, cooking, baking, writing short stories, and then crocheting, which I like to make blankets. I don't crochet anything fancy. I just like the repetition of doing like blankets and stuff. And you know, like there was a lot of other stuff. So like, you know, roller skating, photography, recording videos. So I'm doing that now, honoring myself, yippee. So that was all good and fun. And then, yeah, I have no idea what that said, but I highlighted down I would like to purge my room, which I did end up doing. I'm still getting rid of a lot of stuff, and the issue is like, I want to be donating it, but it's not in a good enough condition to be donated, but then I feel bad for throwing it away because I'm like, shit, are you serious? You're just gonna keep throwing shit away like that? How fucking embarrassing. That's not very, like, underconsumptive of you. I'm trying to find, like, the week 3 one. So I would love to go through that. Regardless, I think the real value of this really is the daily page. I'm going to fix my hair again. Oh, I look like an anime character for a second. Yeah, we're going to do that one. The value of the Artist Way, in my opinion, really is the daily pages. The exercises are good. I do think the exercises challenge your internal beliefs about yourself. The issue is, I think there's too many to choose from. I think that if you just do like 3, it's like fine, but it just kind of sucks. So, let's see. Okay, I don't know where the rest of those exercises went. So let's end the video with me reading the first page of my first week versus the first page of my last week. So we're gonna restart here. Are we ready, guys? Are we ready? February 27th, 2025. I still don't know what this word says. I'm starting to do my 3 daily pages for the Artist Way. Honestly, not sure if it's something I'll be able to stick to, but I'm genuinely going to give it my all because I really want to crack the egg on my creativity, I guess. I don't know if I'm really framing that correctly. Doing this as a stream of consciousness exercise will prove to be one of the more challenging aspects of this exercise. Can I really write 3 whole pages? Maybe. I should have bought a smaller notebook for this. I mean, I got this notebook because it was close and I didn't want to give my money to Amazon. And I ended up spending more money on this notebook, and I don't actually think there's enough pages in it for 12 weeks of this book course, something like that. Anyway, work has been agonizingly slow, which means there will be ridiculously busy weeks to come. I wish when it was slow I could just go home, but maybe that's life. I suppose I'm doing this the artist way, because I want to tap into my inner creative to make a career for myself as an artist. I'm so sick of being embarrassed about my dreams. I want to make it as an author. I want to write scripts. I want to learn how to write music. I want to be more active on social media. I want to learn how to edit videos. I have to become less scared of being known. I still struggle with this. This inner shame I hold largely is the reason why I'm not where I want to be. So that's page 1. of my first week. So I thought that I started in January. I actually didn't start till February, so that is my bad. And I kind of just go in on like my plans and like how I want to manifest and things like that. And I'll read out what my manifestations are, because there's some that the books give you like affirmations, and then there's some that are not, that are, you can make, like, I think she says to like make your own affirmations, and that is what I did. All right, where are we? All right, 7/3/25. Okay, I have, what the heck? What did I write? This is why you have to have good handwriting, and I don't. I've always had terrible handwriting, and I've done writing exercises, books. It's just terrible. Okay, have I been doing the things I'm supposed to do? No. Little steps. Wait. Okay. Yeah, I don't know what this first word says. My handwriting got really worse. I walked 40 minutes on the treadmill. Yay. And did a majority of my dishes. Double yay. I'll finish that up, poop my dog, and drive over to do laundry. Although I kind of want to wait until July 5th. No I don't. I don't want to lose my weekend to laundry time. It takes an hour. Just an hour. But boy, do I hate losing it. Well, technically it's an hour and 40 minutes if we continue if we count the travel time. Oh my gosh. Why is this so terrible? Like, my handwriting is just awful. Oh, I really thought my professor would reach out this week. I'm going to give him until next week to get back to me to see if he's still up for coffee. In the meantime, I will start doing some extra reading to get started on my Sinners essay. I want to write a paper on Sinners in the Harlem Renaissance and blaxploitation films, and the way that white people consume art from art that is created by black people, and the way that white people more often than not cannot participate in that conversation without centering themselves, because it is kind of an issue that I've noticed while watching Sinners analysis by white creators. And that's not to say I'm some super white person who just gets all the struggles. That's not the case at all. It's just, it becomes glaringly obvious when they see or try to empathize with the villains of the film, and how they can only really talk about the film in regards to its relationship to whiteness, which I think does the movie a disservice. And that's common throughout like art, black art movements that like white people are perceiving. It's not like some new phenomenon or anything like that. Anyway, I really loved that film. Cannot wait to watch it again. I can't read what this says. I only really work on my script at work, because at least I can do that when work is slow, which is often these days. I need to buy plane tickets. Ugh, I am so sick and tired of having to spend money. Jesus fucking Christ. Fuck. I am so tired, so freaking tired. Wake up, work. Where do I want to go? What am I doing? I have no idea what this says. I still want something. I don't know. I still haven't something. The actual like difference in my handwriting from the like this page. Hold on. Can you even read that? Like, so there's that page. If you can read it, I sure as shit can't. How embarrassing. I might have to cut this out of the video. Nah, I'll leave it in. Let me be embarrassing. It's fine. I can be embarrassing. Compared to like this. And it kind of shows you where I was at with the daily pages. It's doing pages of this size. It's a lot. And I'm not going to lie, towards the end, I was not doing them. I would do like a page and a half and call it quits if I ran out of things to say. But if I still had things to say, I would, keep going and go up to 3 pages. But like, if I just was going to write, I don't have anything to write, I don't see value in doing that. I have really bad wrists to begin with. So doing this exercise, like when I do my daily pages, I have to stretch out my wrists before and after, which is a little embarrassing, but it is what it is. And I found that, like, I don't know, the pressure to do 3 pages can be a lot. So I'm a big believer in, if you can get what you need to get out of a page and a half, do that instead, or get a smaller notebook. get a small like actual journal with like a ribbon so you can mark yourself off. Do that. But I'm gonna read now. Let me fix my hair again. Yeehaw. I'm gonna read now the manifestations that I used. I don't think any of these have come to fruition. Granted, I've only been doing this for like 8 weeks. Cut me some slack. Cut me some slack. It's only been 8 weeks. Calm down. Manifestation Power Hour. I will be a successful author. I will enter a 6-figure book deal. I will enter a multi-book contract with an equitable publisher. I will make writing my life. I will be a success. So very simple manifestations, by the way. In a lot of ways, I think I have made writing my life. Get away. The dog is here. In a lot of ways, I do think I have made writing my life. Like I write every single day, as I said. I'm going to do a video on how I managed to write like a 70,000 word manuscript in 2.5 months. And it's genuinely one of my best manuscripts in terms of like craft and plot and like pacing. I think it's actually like, it's not ready for the query trenches. I'm not going to go that far, but it is probably the closest I've gotten to that. And I think I just need to do a rewrite and then it should be good to go. And that's probably only going to take me a month if I get really quick with it. So anyway, yeah, I'm getting a lot out of this. Obviously I've only done it for like, I'm only a little over halfway done and there's definitely more to learn. Like I'm not going to deny that either, but it's also one of those things where I find if you are already someone who has discipline around your art, you're not going to get as much out of it versus someone who is like really stalled out on what they want to do. Because I've always had a pretty clear direction of where I want my art to go and where I want to be in the next like 5-10 years. And I've always been a person who plans for the future like many years in advance because you just never know what happens. But it's been really helpful to journal like this because I'm not somebody who will be like, I gotta crack open my journal and just tell myself my life. I'm a type B person. I'm not gonna do that. So by having a workbook that says, hey girl, you gotta write for 3 pages every day. Also, I don't write on the weekends. I let me be very clear. I don't write on the weekends either. Oh my gosh, my hair. I don't write on the weekends. Sue me. I don't see a point in doing that because during the weekends, that's my most like creative output time. Like I'm writing for like 6 hours a day on the weekends, sometimes less, sometimes more. So I didn't see like I didn't want to add more to my plate like that. So I was like, whatever. My weekends are for me. I think it's one of those books that you can make work for you. I think you should make it work for you because there is a lot to glean out of it. But if you're focusing on like, well, I have to do all of the exercises, I have to write every single day, I don't think you're getting the point of the book. So it's just one of those things where it's like you kind of just gotta do it at some point. You just kind of lock in and do it. A lot of what this book is mostly helping me with is not being afraid of saying, I want to be an author. I want to be a published author. I want to make money off my writing. I want this to be my world. I want this to be my career. I want this to be my future. Do I know how fast I'm going to get there? No. And publishing is not a race. Publishing is slow. So I don't need to kind of force myself into writing at the speed of light. I write fast because that's how I write, and it's not for anybody else, it's for me. And I think this book has helped me with that mindset a bit more. Kind of what I got out of it. I've probably done a really terrible job of explaining the artist way. I know like some people are probably a lot better at explaining it than I am. And I think if I would have done this week by week and like summarized my thoughts, then I'd probably get, I could read it for content, but I'd be more like clear on some points. But regardless, I have done 160 pages and I have a veggie notebook and I'm going to do the rest of the exercises in and the rest of the reading in. My final thoughts are, I think that making yourself sit down every day and dumping out whatever is rattling around in your head, very fabulous bonked you again. Very fabulous exercise, very helpful. Some of the exercises attached to the chapters, not so helpful. I do think she has a lot of good things to say about what jealousy and anger say about our inner artist and what we need to focus on when we are having those intense feelings of jealousy, because that certainly helped me process my kind of knee-jerk, I want that, how do I get there, that kind of feeling. It's helped me be like, okay, here's how to do that. So, anyway, if you're like, I want to do the artist way, I want to do the artist way, just get it. You can probably find it at a thrift store as well. Like, just take a little poke around. I have it on my Kindle, and I have it on like the Kindle app on my phone, so I can do it at work, because I can't just bring a whole book to my job. I would get yelled at, I think. So do it, make it work for you. You can make it work for you, and I think that is a big lesson of this is you can make your creativity work for you, but you have to know yourself to get that done. Anyway, thank you for watching my video. If you want to, you can subscribe below, and if you want to see me on social media, I'm not super active in like the YouTube like spaces. It's more of like an author, like Twitter and Blue Sky and Instagram. You can follow me there. It's all penned by Eliza B. Maybe I can flash it on the screen again. It's all the same username. However, I do post a lot of my opinions on there, and if you're like, oh my god, your opinions must be terrible. I'm very anti-AI. I'm very, like, I'm pretty involved politically, not as much as I could be. I think there's always room to be doing more, but just my opinions are all over there, and it's not just like, here's what I'm writing this week, and here's an aesthetic picture of like some like tea and like a notebook. Like, I'm not that kind of aesthetic writer. I have big beef with the writing aesthetic. Anyway, thank you for watching. If you want to see more videos, I'm trying to do like a weekly, bi-weekly thing. Please feel free to subscribe below. That'd be really fabulous, and then we can keep this conversation going. Anyway, I suppose I will see you guys the next time. Bye.